Yo guys, I figured I'd do a little video. I haven't been on in a while. Have some things on my mind that I think I could talk about. Don't know how I'm gonna structure it, but it'll be interesting to hear, thought provoking or whatever. So I think everyone knows this, like subconsciously. It's like a deep truth that's like in you that you know that like your reality is shaped by your belief. Like a lot of people that go crazy, they like think everyone's a demon. They think because, and like there's levels to this. Like if you like are psychotic and you like think everyone in your life is a demon, you start to believe that everyone in your life is a demon, and influence in your reality from demons start to come through people because that's what you believe. And whatever you believe is the form that vibration takes in the astral. Astral is based off your belief, especially when you're in the body. The etheric energy comes through as what you believe it as. So like you'll see him as Jesus, you'll see the angel as Buddha, you'll see like it's like that. And there's a lot of levels to this. Like a very obvious level is if you do your like due diligence and research like ex-Satanist testimonies, like the hardcore Satanists that are doing like crazy magic and like working for Satan and stuff, and they're like aggressive, like on the offensive. They all only go after Christians, and to them, Christians are the only people that have the power to rebel against them or block their attacks. And they say every other religions are ran by demons. If you know that's not true. But why is this such a constant variable with Satanists? It's because Christians and Satanists have the same belief. They believe in Satan, they believe in Jesus, they believe in the God from the Bible, and that creates their astral field. They're all in an astral matrix dream that believes the same thing. So they all co-create together, and they all witness the same reality. And so like this is why you want to be careful. Like, what do you believe in? Like, there's so much stuff out there in the ether waiting to align with your perception if you believe in it. And yeah, and like that's why, like, like you could be like such a powerful person. Like you could break the matrix by just thinking what you believe in. Or you like people break the matrix, they're like, oh, I don't think about life too hard, or I think about life positively, and that creates a matrix that is beneficial to you or better than another matrix. And the moment you start believing something, there's like levels of belief. Like there's like very like subconscious beliefs at the core, and then there's like body consciousness, active mind beliefs, and then there's like another subconscious, and like there's like all sorts of layers to it. But like, yeah, your beliefs change your reality, and that's why people that it also makes you go into different dimensions. So like your belief, like if you believe like that the world will end, or if you believe that FEMA camps are going to take over, like you start aligning with that because you believe that, you have faith in that. You start aligning with the timelines and dimensions where that takes place, where that comes from the astral into the physical. And so that's why people like Bashar, who is like an alien that gets channeled, and go watch him, he's legit as fuck. When like every now and then, like a random one of these guys pops up and they're like, why don't you talk about the cabal and the Satanism and the pedophiles and how FEMA camps are going to take, and he's like, shut the fuck up, shut up. Like, it's the only time he raises his voice because he doesn't want anyone to believe that shit. And if you really because he doesn't want people going into that reality, and he has to just tell them that's a potential reality, that's a potential timeline, or like a broken timeline, like a disgraced timeline that victims go into based off their fear, their belief in it, and the way their belief gets fed back to them. And if you really paid attention and you were like hearing stories about like the reptilians and stuff like that, a lot of people that are found out as reptilians are people that even preach this type of thing as if they're a truth seeker, as if they're an enlightened one. They say, yeah, FEMA's doing this, the reptiles are taking over, they're enslaving humanity. People that tell you this are literally giving you the option or presenting you the option to enter into that reality or not. I remember clear as day when I was a lot younger and a lot newer to the spiritual path, I had a friend who was spiritual, and he believes in like the reptilian conspiracy theory. And he posted this thing, and I was like, do I believe in this? And I had this like inner like moment where it was like this voice told me like, you have the decision to believe in this or not. And it was like obviously like something with riding on this, like if I chose to believe in that. And I'm pretty sure at that moment I chose not to. And if I ever did believe in it, I didn't believe to the extent that like the horror show timelines are say it is. And yeah, your belief gets fed back to you, and like in a lot of ways, in like a very like mechanical way. Like this is how the metaphysics of like the astral, this is the metaphysics of like reality. Like your belief, you see stuff as your belief, it comes to you as your belief. And also from a perspective of like let's say you believe spirit is a certain type of way, like in your contacting spirit, like the spirit is gonna, a lot of spirits that are divine and stuff, they're like, okay, well, I need to teach you this, or your next step in line, your next step in the divine path is this, and I'm gonna, yes, your belief is shaping me, but I can also change myself even further to your belief with my conscious action, so you're not shocked, and so you feel like you're having a tangible spiritual experience. Like there's some like ignorance is bliss. Like they want you to think like it's like almost like it's like a forbidden thing to like humans want to have like a life that they kind of foresee the future in or understand or can make sense of. And if they have this idea of like how the spiritual realms work and how spirituality works, that's what they're going to see. And also, even if these entities had the power to snap you out of it, they don't want to shock you, and they want to give you what you want, what you believe, what's true to you. And like it's like kind of like your life is like a movie that you believe in. Your life is like themes that you believe in. Like you want to be right about your themes. And yes, it would shock you if you were wrong, and it could alienate you from the path if they show you what it's really like or a different perspective. And so yeah, there's that. Belief is the most powerful thing. I always like I've been to some crazy consciousness things, and it was never taught to me, but I always knew like my belief is my strongest weapon, is my belief. What I believe in creates reality. And like starseed aliens, like they said, they're like, what are you? They're like, we are a vibration coming from reality that takes shape based on your beliefs, and we are love or whatever, blah blah blah. And they say that is how all vibration interacts with the individual. And so yeah, they just like solidified it for me. And then like my other research, like my theories make sense. Like the Christians and the Satanists are in a matrix dream because their beliefs are congruent with each other, so they experience the same astral reality, unseen or seen. And yeah, so there's that. And then I want to talk about, like, I saw this video, like a lot of crazy people, like a lot of people, like homeless people, like people that are paranoid or don't trust people or get angry at people, or say things like you're like giving them food, you're like, yo, I'll get back to you, when's the next time you want me to see you? And they're like, I'll text you or I'll use telepathy. And they just say that. You're like, why did they say that? Like, even though like I know what like telepathy, like 9 times out of 10 when you use telepathy, you're talking to someone's higher mind. You're not talking to their body, you're talking to their higher mind. And what happens is anything the higher mind hears is dripped intelligently into the physical mind subconsciously. It's not going to say like, hey, they said this to you. It's going to be like, oh, it's going to make you decide to bring up certain topics the next time you talk to that person based on what they telepathically said to your higher self, for example, right? And like if you're like powerful and you telepathically chant like a word towards someone. Like sometimes that affects their subconscious to the extent where they fumble their words and they say the word that you're chanting. I've had that happen many times. And I've had people, it becomes a play. It's something you could like play around with forever. But I mean, don't get lost in the sauce. But you could talk to the person telepathically, and then you could see their higher mind affect their behavior in the physical, and they're talking to you without them even knowing they're talking to you. And it's like a beautiful play between the higher mind and the lower mind. But so what a lot of people see is they say something telepathic, like this homeless person says something telepathic to the person, and then that person ends up bringing up that topic to them, and they think that this person is just messing with them, is hiding the fact that they heard them, and is just messing with them, trying to make them seem like they're crazy, when in reality they are only acting they're saying that because the higher mind fed them subconsciously what they said, and it does it without you knowing. Like a lot of your behavior throughout the day is from your subconscious influence from your higher mind, and you don't even know. It's just as if you're thinking, like, what causes you to think, like, the next thought. It's like a miracle, right? So it's not something you could like easily grasp or like know, like realize, oh, that's from my higher mind, this is from my physical mind. And then like I saw this other video, this homeless guy comes up to this guy who is like live streaming. He's like, why'd you just say my thoughts? Why'd you just say my thoughts? And like he throws like a pumpkin at his head. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? But again, this is something that happens because of the subconscious link between the astral form, the higher self, and the physical mind. If you say something to someone, like a phrase or something like that, there's a chance that they will say that phrase out loud, not even knowing where that influence came from. And that's the case that happened with this guy. A lot of people need to realize the entities they're talking with, first off, a lot of the time you're talking to yourself. Okay. It's like 95% of the time it's yourself. And if you are being telepathic, you're telepathic with their astral self, you're telepathic with their soul, you're telepathic with their higher self. They need to be super relaxed, have a certain brainwave going, and achieve a certain amount of meditation to have direct telepathic communication back and forth from the physical mind. But people will have these conversations and they think like, man, this nigga acts like he can't hear me when I meet him in person, but he's talking my ear off right now. And that's because it's coming from his higher self. It's coming from his higher self. And like the higher self isn't gonna like, again, like it's also your beliefs, right? So if you believe like, oh, this is him talking to me, like that stops the higher self from saying like, yo, this is the higher self talking to you. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the higher self has no interest in clearing that shit up for you. Like that's your journey. That's your mystery to unfold, and your perspectives to get. And so yeah, so that's kind of like my explanation for what's going on with crazy people. Some crazy people. There's a couple things. How their belief creates their reality to the extent where, yes, they get. Like they believe, oh, everyone's a demon, and then they start experiencing very demonic things over and over again, concrete proof that everyone's a demon, and so they spiral out of control, and they strengthen that belief more, and it gets more and more demonic. And so there's that, and then there's the misunderstanding of how the astral self, higher mind, and soul subconsciously communicate or influence the physical mind. So they think that these people are messing with them or acting like they can't hear them when they're showing proof they can hear them. There's that. And, yeah. So, but, like, I'm gonna switch topics here. The higher states of intelligence, like you have higher and higher states of intelligence, like it's like infinite or like who knows how far it goes, but like people talk about 12D, like, you know, all the dimensions, third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. Each dimension you have a mind, you have a body, you have a presence, you have a consciousness there. And all these consciousnesses influence you subconsciously depending on your alignment and depending on what its plan is for you. And when you start to meditate and you raise your vibration by thinking positive thoughts, by letting go of attachments, you start to see the activity of these higher minds, and it's like so intelligent and so much more positive and so much more joy filled and so strong it can't be derailed. It's like the cutest things you've ever seen, the funniest things you've ever seen, the smartest things you've ever seen, the best songs you've ever heard, the best poetry you've ever heard, the best expression you've ever heard. Like every time it's like, damn, like that lifted my mood just to see that. And I could dream of making something like that in my physical imagination. I don't have the inspiration. I don't have the power, the intelligence to make that in my physical mind. And that's where all songs come from. Many songs, the person channels the higher mind. They learn how to channel the higher mind. And if you're someone that freestyles, I bet you don't know what the fuck you're gonna say until you say it. Because what you're doing is you're shutting off your physical mind, opening up a space for your higher mind or higher minds to speak through you, and you just speak, you just act, and it comes out. And that's like a very basic way to start channeling. Like a lot of this is you either ascend and become the higher minds, or you learn to open up your vessel, open up your mind, quiet your 3D mind for the higher intelligence to come through, and you just act. You just go in the flow state. And like, do not brush these things aside. Like you want to at least see what these higher minds have for you, can say to you, can show you, can instill in you. And if you can become them or align with them to, like, basically when you align with them, you become them, you'll be like your soul, like the glory of God. And so I think this is an achievement everyone should go for. But if you see certain stories, like the Buddha, or like a Buddha will be like meditating, and then like all of a sudden like he'll see like himself in front of him, and like usually that is one of the higher minds. That's one of the minds. And for the Buddha to get nirvana, he has to go like, you're nothing, bye, I'm not interested in what you have to sell me. But that is like incredibly hard, because once you get opened up to these parts of your mind, it is so much more satisfactory, so much more alluring, so much more joy, so much more awe-inspiring, so much more intelligent, so much more funny than what your 3D mind can give you, and you're sucked in. It's like infinite levels of intelligence. This gets higher and higher and higher, better experience, and throughout life, you go back and forth from these different levels of mind. Like after 3D life, you're gonna at least go to the 4D, and like people like Ram Dass or like other people, like it's like reported by psychics, like they just shoot straight up, like they go the highest as high as they can go, and there's two schools of thought. Like either like nirvana is like the ultimate liberation, where like everything is nothing, and that's basically here's where nirvana comes in. If like everything, like the vibration of the universe is actually a stillness, but with belief, from that stillness comes form, right? Based on your belief. And I guess nirvana is no belief, no nothing, no mind, just nothingness, right? Or you could get higher and higher and higher and have a perfect experience, right? Like 3D life is perfect, but it's not perfect in like obvious ways, and like your inner convictions, your joy, the flow state, your imagination, your poetic ability, like the law of attraction, metaphysics, like. But you can go higher and higher in these realms and experience a much better life, a better life. Like a lot of the times when yogis say life is suffering, they're talking about 3D reality. They're not talking about the astral world, because in the astral world, any fucking problem you have an answer for it. You don't even have that problem. Like that's what it's like in the higher realms of the astral. And you could just think of a couple notes, and then all of a sudden you hear a symphony of music. And the law of attraction and the metaphysics are so much more mystical and so much more tangible that, like, whatever you need to do finds itself to you and you find yourself to it. But the Buddha says no to all of this. Says no to all of it. He goes, but like, I almost feel like that's a mistake. He doesn't know what he's saying no to. He's used to the years of meditation with just the 3D mind, where it's like hot coals. And he had such a negative experience with the clingings of the 3D mind that once the 4D mind, 50 mind, 60 mind starts showing him stuff, he's like, nah, I'm not falling for that. I'm not getting sucked in. I already did so much work. I turned this off. I turned off my perception already. I'm not going for that. That's like having a bad experience on boats and saying you don't want to go on a cruise with your best friend. Like there's these times in life where bad experiences, negative experiences can make someone throw out all experience. Because you got bullied, you're less likely to be socialized with people, so you don't go to that party, you don't say hi to that person, and that could have been an extremely enriching experience, right? And they say you live forever. They say we're eternal beings, we always are experiencing. We're always experiencing. Even like you're experiencing nothingness, you just experience nothingness, and eventually something arises in you and you say, man, I want to experience again. It's a personal thing, but before you think you want nirvana, experience some of the higher mind, experience some out of body experiences before you say no to it all, just because your physical mind gave you a burden. There's other states of mind that are not burdens, that are blessings. Jai Shri Ram.